Hello and welcome to lesson 2 of week 5. In this lesson, we're going to look at badges, progress bar, spinners in Bootstrap 5. My name is Mildred. In the last lesson, we looked at how to create responsive images, how to style images, how to create carousel, how to apply the different utility classes that we have to format the presentation or the layout of an image on the web page. Now we are going to move on to look at these badges, and we know that we use badges to show things like counts, labels, or statuses. We want to achieve something like this where we have number of messages or a status, whether it's new or old, something like this. So we want to have those type of badges on our web page. Now I'm going to come to this section for the badges. The utility class that we can attach to this, we want it to be attached to this span tag, and so I'll put a class attribute with a value of badge, and then I want to put a color for the badge. So maybe I want it to be BG primary. So remember your background colors that we looked at in previous week. So when I save this and I refresh my web page, we'll see that we have that badge and message is 5, just like we have, right? You can change the color. Let's change the color and say we want this to be BG danger. So we have a red badge, right? So we have 5 unread messages. We can have like a rounded peel badge like this. Let's achieve that here to make this let's say green and it's rounded and it's like a peel. So I'll come here and I will put my class attribute, and my value here will be, I have to have badge, and then I want to put rounded peel, and then I will put the color BG success. When I come to my web page and I refresh, I have the status new like that. So now we're done with badges. You can refer to your lesson resource and research more about the different utility classes you can add to badges. Majorly, we know we use badge and then we add a background color to it. We add any kind of rounded corner we want and different utility classes that we have seen in previous week's lesson. Now I want to look at progress bar. When we have progress bar, we show task completion or the status when the status is loading, something like that. And we have this template for progress bar, and we want to say we want this to load like 60%. So on the template, we have the style width is equal to 60% already, and we want to have a class attribute with a value of progress bar. So it is written progress bar like this. Now you can have a color if you want. You can put a background color if you want, or you can just leave it like this. Now when I come to my web page and I refresh, I have my progress bar. There's no color here, 60%. We can put the outer container here to have a class or progress. You can decide what you want the height to be, but let's put margin bottom 3. Okay, you can put the height of the progress bar. So when we refresh, we have a progress bar 60%. It's here like this. All right, so we can change whatever we want the percentage to be here. So let's say progress bar will show 80. You can time it to just roll and have a progress bar, but it's actually something that is controlled by the loading. So this is how we do progress bar, and if we see this, we have that. We can have double progress bars. We can have another progress bar where we have 2 things loading at the same time. Let's say here we want to put a second progress bar, for instance. I will copy this and I will paste it here. And let's say I want this not to have margin bottom. I'll make the width here 40%. I'm going to put the class here will be progress bar. Let's put it progress bar stripes, and it's 1p, and then let's make it animated, progress bar animated, progress bar animated, and let's make it yellow, BG warning, like that. And then we want to put the width to be 40%. We have it here already. All right, so we can come here, refresh our web page. We have that 40% loading here, and it's animated, so you can see it like it's moving like that. So you can explore all of the utility classes that you use to style progress bar and play around with them, but this gives you the information you need to have to know what exists and how you can apply them. We have something called spinners, and spinners, like you see here, just indicate loading or processing state. We want to create spinners on this page, so I'll come here to my spinners section and I want to add a class to my div tag. Let's say I have this div. I'll put a margin bottom, so you can style it any way you want. I'll put margin bottom 3. So refer to your earlier lessons to understand these utility classes. Now I have this div tag and I have this loading here. I don't want it to write loading. I want to have spinner that will have different color. Let's have 2 spinners, for instance. So let's have 2 containers here. I'll remove the loading and I'll put div class is equal to, and let's say this is going to be, so the utility class is spinner border, and then let's put the color for the text. Let's put text primary. Then we want to have, close this div tag. We want to have another spinner. So copy this and I'll paste it, and let's put this as spinner group. grow, and we'll use this to be text success. Grow text success. So when we save this, come back to our web page and refresh, we have two spinners. This is one that just rolls in circle, and this is one that just grows like this. So this is what we have here, and we're trying to do. On a button, instead of writing loading here, we can actually put a spinner here instead of loading like we have here. So the loading here and then the spinner beside it. So we can come back here, and then for the button, I'll remove the loading. We are going to leave the button disabled because we don't want it clickable. But now the class is going to be btn. So gray button is secondary, button secondary, and we'll make it disabled. And then now we can put our span class and we make it spinner border, then spinner border, let's make it small, and then we'll leave loading there. And when we refresh our page, we now have that spinner by the loading button there. The next thing we want to look at is pagination. And when we have a long table, you want to be able to paginate. Maybe you have it numbered. So instead of having to scroll endlessly on the web page, you want to paginate the pages of different things. An example is when you have a table, you are loading table of 1000 rows of information from the database. You don't want to keep scrolling. You want to paginate so that the user can choose if they want to load 5 at a time, 10 at a time, 25 at a time, and things like that. So we use pagination to navigate between pages or between content. Now we are going to paginate this page so that it can look like this, to have previous, and we can go next like this. So I'll come back here and we're going to look at another list. So the another list tag, we'll put a class and the value is pagination. Now we have the list item. We want to put the first list item to be disabled. So we'll put this class here. Let's say the first list item class is equal to, let's say, page item, and let's make it disabled. And then we want to have the second list item, or within this we'll put an anchor tag first. Let's just put a link to the page link. So class is equal to page link like this, and then we'll make this the previous button, something like this. Then now we can have the first one to be the active item. So we'll say class is equal to page item, and then put the active attribute like this. Then for this number 1 here, we'll make it a link. So you surround it by the anchor tag. Okay, so we'll put the 1 here, and we'll put class is equal to page link like that. So we'll do the same thing for 2, 3, 4, and next. Okay, so let's do that. So class page link, we have 2, 3, and then next. So we'll stop here. When we come to our web page and we refresh, so we have it paginated like that. Previous, next. We actually did not activate this to have any data that we're scrolling between, but now you see how we create the pagination there using Bootstrap 5. So you can have different pagination sizes. Refer to your lesson resource to see how you can change the pagination size. Like now we have pagination here. We can have pagination LG to make it large, or we can have SM to make it small. There are different sizes you can choose from in the utility class. So you want to refer to your lesson resource to see more details about the different utility classes. The lesson doesn't cover all the classes, but gives you a preview into the classes that exist for you to go read more about them and know how to apply them. Now we have list groups, and when we have a list, we want to maybe group this list. Like we have menu lists, we have navigations, we have content grouping. We want to group all of this together, and we want to group this list as an example. Let's look at the utility classes that Bootstrap 5 exposes us to. So we have this on that list. I'll put a class attribute, and the value is going to be list group. So I'll put the margin bottom of 3 like that. You can add any utility class you want. Now when you have a list group, the list item tag should have a class attribute with a value of list group item, so that it will be the item. Now the first one, you can put an active attribute there for the first one, and then the last one you can put a disabled if you want, something like that. So we just illustrating this. You do your style based on what it is that you are illustrating. So we have this list group, and we have created this home profile messages. We can now have a div tag like this, and we want this div tag to be the list. Now this div tag will have anchor tag that links. For now we'll say link nowhere, but the class attribute has a value of list group item, and we have list group item action. So let's say this one, instead of item 1, let's say we want this to be notifications. We want this to be, let's say, number 5. So this is a list group, but we want to have, let's say we want to have a span tag here before the close anchor tag like this, and we want to put a badge. So we are trying to work with all we've learned like this. So let's say we have 4 messages like this, and then we have the next one, which is going to be, let's say, setting, and then let's just have this 2 like this. So when I save this and I refresh my web page this time, we look at our list group. We see that how we group this to home profile messages, and we see how we group this to have notification settings like this. You see them? So we have notifications. It tells us how many notifications are there. You always know whether you have new ones, old ones. You can use this to create your profile dashboard or dashboard for different users, where they can see notifications, they can see number of announcements, they can click to expand, and just think wide on what design you want, and you will have all of this to play around with in your lesson resource. So your lesson resource contains the template HTML code. You are to understand HTML, but you are not required to write HTML code in this course, but you should be able to understand the different HTML elements for you to be able to style. So this is where we end this lesson. Thank you and see you next week.